Welcome back. So, we're still on that Bedford trip last week. As I said before, I got everything in sight. If it was there, it ended up in my bag and coming home with me. But before we get started, I did want to mention very quickly that Greg, our class clown, who just offered us all a tremendous amount of support by posting his ridiculous dad jokes day in, day out, all throughout the pandemic. And I know for a lot of us, when we were on lockdown, just having a little tee-hee in the morning really meant a lot. Greg's not going to be able to post for us at this time because he has health issues that are preventing it. Obviously, they're serious health issues because, as I mentioned in another video, he was actually posting jokes from his hospital bed. So, since he sent us all that joy and happiness when we were in miserable lockdown, had no toilet paper, no iced tea in my area, if you'll recall, let's see about sending him some good wishes and see if we can't do for him what he did for us. All right, when we come back, we are going to get right into the Bedford buying. So, I found something at Bedford that I really wanted to show you. Not coming home with me, it was definitely at an appropriate retail price, but I want you to see this because we've discussed this before. So, let's take a look at what I spotted. Now, this is something worth taking a look at. $50, it's not coming home with us. Halloween costumes. It appears to be a cloth mask. I'm not sure what else is in here. It's got the original Disney logo in the box. Condition on this is fantastic. This is the sort of thing that if you can find it at junk shops, thrift shops, antique stores, it will sell like hotcakes. I would say absolutely, if you see something like this for under $20, oh, buy it. That costume is amazing. It's got to be older than I am because I remember the Mickey Mouse costumes that were available when I was a kid going out for Halloween with those hard plastic masks. And this was a cotton mask, and it had the earlier Disney logo, the one that was out in the 40s. My suspicion is that that costume dated from the 40s or very early 50s, certainly not as far along as the later 50s, early 60s, when I was a little kid out trick-or-treating, because as I say, the costume industry had changed. If you can find those old Halloween costumes, and they show up at thrift stores, they show up at antique shops, they show up in junk shops. I have even seen them in used bookstores. If you can find them, they are worth investing in because they just go for huge sums of money. The $50 that was marked on that costume might actually be a low price if it were properly researched so that it could be dated. As I said, I believe it may well be from the 40s. throw that on eBay and, oh my, watch the bidding. It is a huge, huge collector's market, and because the older the costume, the more rare the costume, especially when they are in good condition, and that one was in good condition. Gee, it really is a seller's market. So I wanted you to see that, because if you come across them in your travels, and frankly, they don't have to be that old. The Halloween costumes from my childhood are going for really big prices too. But something with a name like that, like Disney, or, the Jetsons, Fred Flintstone, all the cartoons had those little costumes. And I'm quite sure that not all of them were paying royalties as they were supposed to, because this was back in the laissez-faire days. They do sell really well. Keep your eyes peeled for them. So next up is an interesting piece, and this is the sort of piece in that general category of pieces that I've warned you about shying away from. So I wanted to show you what the exception is. So let's take a look. Same shop as that Mickey Mouse costume. This is a little Chinese tin. The tag says it's from England. There is something written on the back. I can't read it. By the way, what I'm going to do to make that legible is I'm going to snap a good photograph of this, probably not with my cell phone, probably with the better digital camera, and enlarge it until I can make it out. It's a very easy way to deal with situations like this, although, to be honest, you can't do it on the fly. So, I am going to have to trust the seller's tag, and seller's tag says that it's from England. That probably came from the marking on the back. But it is a very sweet little piece, and pieces like this sell. They capture people's imaginations. Someone's going to look at that and say, oh, I've got to have this. Or, my mom needs that to store her earrings, or whatever. But these pretty little pieces, especially at $6, which is a price that will allow a reasonable markup for resale, they sell. Make no mistake about it, they sell. So, why is it okay to buy that tin, which I did, in my bag, comes home with me, but the other tins that I pointed out to you and said, no, don't touch them? Well, there are two things. One, it's an English tin, and English tins, they held candies, mints, toffees, all kinds of little confections, sweeties, as they would call it overseas. They are really well made. They're beautiful pieces. A lot of work goes into the tins, and so they tend to be higher quality. Also, because they are not local to us here in the U.S., there is a rarity factor, and that tin in particular, because of the image and the design, a nice little Chinese scene, is going to be very attractive. This is not something that is going to be in every grandma's back hall closet, holding, the tea bags or the sugar packets. So, its rarity, its aesthetic appeal, and its quality of the tin. Condition also is really important, and that was a tin that's in good condition. You have to be cautious, though, when you're buying tins, because a lot of older designs have been reproduced, particularly in the 80s and 90s. There was this whole nostalgia tin thing out there. So you can see a lot of tins that, because they are 30 or 40 years old now, have the kind of wear levels that would suggest to you that they are, in fact, from the 20s or 30s, especially if they were poorly cared for, but they are, in fact, repro tins. So those are the ones you need to sort of walk away from, because in general, they are not worth more than the couple of dollars you would pay for them. So you see them in an antique mall for $5, you're not likely to make that back. But I did want you to see the kind of tin, and that is the sort of tin that I will buy when I find them. And it's not just England. Any of the European tins tend to be extremely well made. Our tins were mostly Southeast Asia imports, so the quality is not quite as good, frankly. So, keep an eye out for the good tins, walk away from the bad ones. All right, next up, salt and pepper shakers. Let's take a look. Well, it wouldn't really be a Bedford trip unless I came home with some salt and pepper shakers. This, apples and pears, get the other one, salt and pepper shakers, and notice they're marked on the top S&P, which will make it a little easier. They are Japan here. This one has the Japan sticker. Older pieces, you can tell from the cork and, of course, from the sticker. $6. Decently sized, larger pieces. The mailboxes, $6. No indication of where they're from. They might have had a Japan sticker on them at one time. Before these are sold, I have to haul out my Dremel and clean out these holes a little bit. As you can see, they're not really round. Well, this one is more round than the other one. And it looks like at some point someone sealed them with masking tape. Nevertheless, $6, very interesting color combination. And I think that's what will sell these pieces. That and the nice large size. Those salt and pepper shakers, the two sets that I got, and I did pay more for them than I usually pay. The reason for that is the size. Some people like small, discreet salt and pepper shakers that they can stick on a breakfast tray, put on the kitchen table, whatever. And that's one segment of the market. There's another segment of the market that wants a decent-sized salt and pepper shaker because it's going to go on the kitchen stove or the kitchen counter. They're going to use it for cooking, or, the family gathers around the kitchen island for eating. And I like to be able to keep some of the larger shakers available because it's a market that you need to acknowledge. And of course, if it's no real trouble to provide them with their bigger salt and pepper shakers, and obviously it's not, I like to be able to do it. Now, the next booth, this booth is really interesting. I have gotten some very, very nice pieces in there. I've gotten a lot of Noritaki china, and I've gotten some really cute little Japanese import pieces, very nice. I've also gotten some old things there, 120-year-old pieces of china, good condition, in nice little sets. So I like to keep an eye on what's going on there. It's always a mixed bag. Some great buys and some not so great buys. And we've talked about this before. I love those shops because when the prices are completely out of whack, that tells me that the seller has their own criteria for pricing. Different people set their prices according to different criteria. Some people do it according to the value of the item, which is, in general, what I do, although I try to keep it on the low side, when I throw it in my Etsy shop. Other people base it on what they paid for the item. You know, I paid $5 for this, so I'm not selling it for a penny under 10. That sort of thing. And then there's this third category, which is people who just say, oh, that looks like it's about $3 to me. And I call it PFA, plucked from air. There's no rhyme or reason. You have no idea why they price the things the way they do. But if you know a booth has pricing like that, you can get some knockout deals because the seller just decided it wasn't worth anywhere near as much as you think, or in my case, I know it's worth. So this is one of those booths. And I actually did quite a lot of shopping in this booth. So let's take a look at what I picked up. Well, there's a lot of china hidden in back here. And right there is a stack of 6 Mieto plates. $18, $3 a plate is a good price. Mieto, as I've mentioned before, is the Noritaki successor company. So when you see a plate like this, it was the same artists, the same high quality, and these pieces appraise pretty well. So I'm thinking about it. I'm sure I can tuck this back in the corner, and it'll probably be here next time. Nice pieces, though. There are a couple of other pieces, let's get that in there, that I'd like you to take a look at. This is a turkey salt and or pepper shaker, a single, $3.50. Now, it's true that usually I get full sets for $3.50. But when I find really interesting pieces like this, I'm inclined to pick them up and pop them into my box of supplies for Tidbit trays. The reason for that is this will make a great topper for a Thanksgiving Tidbit tray. So I've got plenty of time to find some matching plates, or, well, not matching, of course, but complementary plates. Another piece, so this is a Fosteria glass sherbet. They call this color topaz. It's very pretty. What's the price on this? $12. That's a full retail price. Despite the fact that I think this is lovely, I would not buy it. Some of these things just glow like Christmas under a black light. And that means a piece like this is going to have to be used for display only. Anything with a high uranium content, personally, I wouldn't serve my guests food out of it. So, the Mieto plates were the traditional Noritaki pattern. And as I explained when I was filming, there's a reason for that. The artists that worked in the Mieto company all came from the Noritaki factory. It was, I don't recall if it was 2 or 3 of the Noritaki's, their key artisans that opened their own company. So you're always going to see some sort of sympathy between the designs of the two companies. They used the same artists, the same designs that made Noritaki porcelain so popular, sort of slid over to the new company. And the Mieto company produced high quality china. I have seen their pieces on Antique Roadshow, and in general, they tend to appraise at 2 to 3 times what the same piece would be coming from another company. And I know, I've always told you, companies in Japan really don't make that much difference. The exception is Noritaki and Mieto, because those were the premier companies. But again, the artists moved from one company to another very freely, and there seems to have been no stigma to that. Here in the United States, we tend to think of, well, if somebody designs cars for Chrysler one day, you don't expect them designing cars for Ford the next. The Japanese don't seem to have that same issue. So there was a lot of sharing of personnel, and in this case, it was artistic talent and design. I did not pick up any of those plates on the theory that because they were tucked so far away, and I showed you where they were, right in that little tiny corner, and it was hard to get at. I expect they'll be there for a while, and the next time my bags are not quite as full as they were on that trip, maybe I'll fluff them out with some of those pieces. But the next piece was that little turkey. Lone salt and pepper shaker. I do like to be able to get special holiday-themed pieces like the turkey. The turkey is probably going to go on a holiday-themed tidbit tray that will come out around Thanksgiving. And it's nice to be able to do that because some people really do like to have their trays customized for the holidays. Other people just, it's like, well, I like cats, I want a cat topper. I'm not sure anybody says that about turkeys. I like turkeys, I want a turkey tidbit tray. But because it is a Thanksgiving thing, I really do think that I'm going to do okay with that one. And it's a cute little piece. And I do like to be able to have cute little pieces to choose from. The Fosteria glass, that is something that we had been talking about a couple of weeks ago when, I think it was, when we were discussing glassware. And we've been discussing glassware for the last 2 weeks, so we could just continue with this. That sort of amber color. Now, there were 2 colors in depression glass. One was that sort of amber, a sort of a dark brownish yellow color. And there was another that was very yellow, a canary yellow. As I mentioned in the video, the yellow glassware can have a uranium content as well as the green. If I were to purchase a glass like that, I would test it out with black light, and I would test it before I bought it, because if I were to purchase a piece like that, it would be for use. It wouldn't just be something to sit in a cabinet. And although I'm not going to go so far as to say I will not use uranium glass, because it's simply not true. I do have some glow-in-the-dark pieces, but it's only the base and the stem. The portion that's actually going to hold the liquid, I would just as soon it not irradiate my guests. If they come in the house with one head, I don't want them leaving with 2. But keep in mind that uranium glass can have a uranium content as high as 24%. That's just what has been documented. Could be higher, and it could very well be that we just haven't seen those glasses. I do have concerns about uranium glass. It can be collected, it can be stored, it can be displayed. And as I say, it can be used under the right set of circumstances with a reasonable degree of safety. But would I use a piece of uranium glass when the uranium glass is part of the bowl, part of the cup that would hold your liquid? And the answer to that is absolutely not. Because with a black light, I can tell if it's uranium glass. But I actually need a Geiger counter and probably a lot more technical know-how than I have to determine the actual uranium content. So if it glows under a black light, it could have a 3% uranium content. It could also have a 24% uranium content, and that's dangerous. So just throwing that out as a caveat, the glassware is beautiful. I'm not saying it isn't. It is collectible. People love it. Not saying they don't. All I am saying is it's a potential hazard that you need to be aware of. If you're going to collect it, put it in a cabinet and keep it behind glass, because that will, in fact, offer you some degree of protection. You know, it's like, don't feed the baby out of it, whatever you do. Just, you know, a lot of things that we collect are not suitable for small children. Let's see. Next up, same booth. And as I mentioned, I did a lot of shopping in that particular booth because they simply had a lot of goodies. And this time around, I grabbed a very small set of salt and pepper shakers, but I just thought they were too precious to leave behind. So let's take a look. Okay, here is our Fosteria glass piece. The Mieto dishes down here, the turkey, and a couple of gorgeous little made in Japan Bluebird salt and pepper shakers. Price on this, $5. Well, it's very hard to put too high a markup on something this small, but these are adorable. And frankly, I would like to have them in my Etsy shop, even if I can barely make back what I paid for them, just because precious little items like this can really drive traffic through your shops. People see them, they remember where they saw them, even if they don't buy them. They remember that they were cute, they liked them, and they tend to come back for more. Okay, so the rationale behind picking up something that is priced, did I write the price down? Yes, $5. Priced a little higher than I would like for something that small is the cute factor. When people are looking at your online sales, your Etsy shop, your eBay listings, really cute things will catch their attention. Even if they don't want to buy them, they look at it, oh, that's adorable. Now, not everybody is going to remember where they saw that adorable piece, but some will. Some will just say, oh yeah, I remember that shop. They had adorable stuff. It brings them back. They'll go to look at your adorable little thing. Maybe they don't buy that, but they're there. They're looking in your Etsy shop. They're scrolling through your eBay listings, and then you have them. Now, just having them isn't necessarily keeping them, but if you have other things they find interesting, you've lured them in, and they look around, and then they start thinking, gee, those are cute, I may not want those, but golly, I like this saucer, or I must have that cream and sugar. It's all about attracting your buyers. And of course, remember, someone is going to buy it because they're so cute. Someone is going to buy it. And that's a person who is going to come back because they were able to get something cute from your shop. Now, as I mentioned before, I do not price my items based on what I paid for them. I price them based on what I believe they're worth and then scale it back a little, because I don't want anybody to go into my shop and say, oh my God, I can't afford anything in here. And, no. I want my things. Well, you saw my kitchen table. I want these things out of my house. So I want to move them. I want to sell them. So I'll keep the prices lower. So a little set like that, I'm not going to be able to mark them up very much. I will probably be able to cover my costs because they're small, and pieces like that I will send out with free shipping. So I'm probably going to be able to price them enough to cover my costs and maybe make $1 or $2. Well, the schoolhouse gets the $1 or $2. I didn't get that. I work for peanuts around here. It's really a joke. All those years of college and, 50 cents an hour. What can I say? I made some bad career choices, I think. Anyway, I'm joking about that. Actually, I'm very happy with the career choices I've made, and I'm very happy doing these videos. But the fact is that there are times when you just make a choice that's not based on the immediacy of the profit margin. You're thinking long term, and you always have to look at the long game. I'm not worried about making a profit on every single piece I sell. I'm concerned with bringing people back again and again, and the profit will come. All right, we're going to have to pick up on this tomorrow. So, have a great day, everyone. I will see you later. And hang in there. 2020 is over, and now we've got 2021 to look forward to. We'll see you later.